Hello friends and welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host Tom Downey. Go follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more Cowboys coverage and of course send me any questions that you guys have. We're going to kick things off with a little news item here. Many of you have asked about what's going on with Tyrone Crawford. We finally have an update for you from TMZ Sports, funny enough, who actually broke that initial bar fight story. They got the court documents. It says that charges are being dropped in exchange for a plea deal as long as Crawford goes to anger management sessions and classes and all that. And of course, doesn't get into trouble again. Now, Crawford, of course, was charged with frankly, only a misdemeanor. I think he got a little bit lucky in that whole process there after a bar fight back in March in which he, kind of got physical with some policemen, which normally means you get the full book thrown at you. Frankly, I think Crawford got a little bit lucky with this. Now, with that said, despite the plea deal and all of that, there's, of course, that video evidence, and Crawford is still going to be subject to potential NFL discipline, and we know how much of a wild card that can be. Now, assuming Crawford is able to go for at least the majority of the year, which I think is the expectation there, I don't see anything more than a couple of game suspension at most for Crawford. The defensive line depth chart should still be in good shape. You bring back Crawford, who plays DE and DT again. You have Antoine Woods, who was a great run stopper last year. Malik Collins, if he can stay healthy, has so much talent. You also drafted Tristan Hill, signed Christian Covington. No, it's not a star power type of defensive line group. It's not like, I'm not going to mention that team, so the Eagles, but I did it anyway. It's not that caliber, but it's still a very good unit. Moving to some rumors here. Let's talk about Randy Gregory. We'll stick on that defensive line side, and yes, of course, we're going to get to Zeke. Just stay tuned for that, guys. Gregory appears he's finally filed for reinstatement there. 4 stars on this one. We mentioned it a couple of days ago how the plan was to file it on Monday. I mentioned every time there was a report about Gregory, it never actually came in when they planned to. This one came out a little bit after the Monday deadline. At least that's the report from Mike Fisher. Either way, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, tomorrow, not that that's going to happen because it already did, it doesn't really matter when, it's just that it has been filed. The hope here for Gregory and the Cowboys is that he is reinstated in time for training camp, which is almost here. So timing there, very important. If the Cowboys can get Gregory, probably not for the entire 16-game season, I don't think you're going to see him be out there every single game. That's just not how the NFL disciplinary process works. But let's say he plays in just half the games or 3/4 of the game, whatever it is. This is a really good Cowboys edge rusher class. We'll put Crawford on there because, again, he plays both DT and DE. Lawrence, Quinn, 2 guys that are at minimum starting caliber. We know Lawrence is way, way better than that. Gregory can be your rotational pass rusher. And you've got recent draft picks. Taco Charlton, Dorrance Armstrong, Joe Jackson, Jalen Jelks, and I kind of like Kerry Hyder as well. So the Cowboys have options there. Frankly, there are too many options at defensive end, which in the end is a good problem to have. Now, we know there are a lot of you guys that watch this show but aren't actually subscribed, which is weird to me because you're always tuning in. We have the numbers to back it up, and yet you're not subscribed. So get us to a 30K. We're going to get higher and more there. The link is below if you need it on Facebook, but if you're watching on YouTube, you don't need to type in all that URL. Just hit the big red button on your screen and subscribe to the Cowboys Report because we're not going anywhere, especially now with training camp and the regular season getting closer and closer. Let's move then to Zeke because, of course, we're going to talk about Zeke because that's all anybody's talking about. And the Zeke wars have begun. Funny how they began before the Dak wars even ended. So what about trading Zeke? I'm only going to give this the 1 star. Obviously, several different outlets and people have floated this idea. Heck, many of you in the comments section have. And I am open to pretty much any trade idea for Zeke, or at least listening to it. But I am on the side of, no, let's not trade Zeke right now. Now, of course, this all got revamped up because there have been conflicting reports about a possible holdout for Zeke, which I lean more on the side that no, he's probably not going to hold out. Either way, it's all kind of trade ideas and speculation, but here's my overarching point with the Zeke stuff. And you can make an argument that there are some reasons why you might want to move on from Zeke. The off-the-field stuff, the contract, the way the NFL teams use running backs these days, but I'm focused on winning this upcoming season. I don't see many scenarios in which trading away Zeke Elliott makes you better right now when you're in the midst of this window. Your Super Bowl window is right now. Zeke makes you better. Now let's break down some of these trade ideas. First up from Jeff Cavanaugh. He said it was kind of a hybrid 3-team deal where Cowboys trade off Zeke for a first-round pick and then send a third to Duke Johnson. I don't know why certain members of, not the analytical community, the running backs don't matter at all community, love Duke Johnson. he's a nice player. I actually do appreciate him, but he's not third round pick. This makes you worse this year. I'm not interested in that idea. Now, FANSIDED did have one that maybe doesn't make you as worse. A hefty trade package involving the Oakland Raiders. Dallas gets Joshua Jacobs, Jonathan Abram, and a first-round pick this next draft. Raiders get a fourth and Zeke Elliott. So in reality, you flipped 3 first-round picks in exchange for Zeke Elliott. That's a lot. To be honest, I would strongly consider this one. The flip side is, I don't think the Raiders would do it. I don't think the Raiders would give away 3 first-round picks for a back when they just took one. I don't think they'd do it. Call me crazy, but I don't think that the Raiders would say yes to that deal. Meanwhile, Colin Cowherd has one as well. With Lamar Miller, he said a couple, so I just assume it's 2. 2, 3, whatever a couple is there. I guess by definition it's 2. In exchange for Zeke Elliott. Kind of more in between those two. I don't know if I'd do it, though. I still think that, yes, Zeke's going to be expensive. I understand that, and you can make an argument that with the way the NFL operates, paying a bunch of money to Zeke maybe isn't in your best long-term interest. Now, with the way the Cowboys run things, that argument's a little bit tougher for me to actually make. So let's say Zeke does hold out. Again, I don't think he's going to, but it is at least a possibility. So if Zeke holds out, what should Dallas do? Type P for pay him, T for trade him, or W just to wait and call his bluff there. Now, get those votes in there. We'll give some shout-outs here as well. I don't cave to his holdout demands because the Cowboys have more leverage than Zeke does, because if Zeke doesn't show up by August 6th, all of a sudden he's hurting himself in free agency with the way that rule operates there. I say wait. I call his bluff. I say, all right, Zeke, let's see if you actually show up there. I don't want to trade him this offseason. I don't think that the timing is wrong, and that's my biggest thing here. The timing doesn't make you better. If we want to revisit this next offseason, okay, let's see what the offers are, see how things make sense. But what's your plan if you trade away Zeke? It's much like the don't pay Dak plan. I'm open to pretty much any idea out there on the Dallas Cowboys, like every GM ever is. But I don't see how trading away Zeke this year makes you better when, frankly, your Super Bowl window is probably at the widest it's going to be over the next couple of seasons. I don't think that's the case there. Now, I put this on the community poll, by the way, as a community poll, words and whatnot there. Here are the results. 64% said pay, 22% said wait, and 15% said trade. So it is still the minority that want to trade Zeke Elliott. It is still an unpopular opinion, but that number, I promise you, is a lot higher than what it was even just 2 weeks ago. Probably would have been like maybe 5% there, and I see mostly P's coming in the comment section as well. Let's talk some more contracts here. How about Tyrone Smith? Let's nip some more crazy ideas in the bud here. Is he the most underpaid veteran on the Dallas Cowboys? Basically, not including players like LVE and Jalen and Zeke and Dak, because they're on their first round or their first contracts there. I give this one 4 stars. I know there are some of you out there, again, I think it's the vocal-ish minority, that aren't super high on Tyrone Smith. But this is a steal contract, guys. He still has, as weird as this sounds, 5 years left on his deal at under $14 million per year. And his cap hit for this upcoming season is actually the highest it's going to be the rest of the way. And on top of that, there's no more guaranteed money left on this deal. So if Tyrone Smith's back continues to be an issue, they can just dump him. That's called value in a contract there. When Tyrone Smith signed this deal, it was widely viewed as a, wow, this is a crazy good value for the Dallas Cowboys. 8 years, under $98 million, only $22.1 guaranteed. Now, the Cowboys did end up giving him more guaranteed because, as they so often do, they restructured and played around with the contract there, and ended up coming in across those years at just over $22 million per year. This is how great of a value this is. We'll do it based on the overall average per year, like always their contracts are. Tyrone Smith is not among the top 10 highest paid offensive tackles in the NFL. That's insane to me, especially when you look at the guys that are. Trent Brown makes $16.5. Okay. Taylor Lewan, like him. He's probably on par with Tyrone, but contract-wise, Tyrone's better there. Nate Solder is like the 4th best NFC East offensive tackle. Jake Matthews, okay, fine. Joe Staley, very good Joe Staley. Those guys aren't as good as Tyrone, though, especially when he's fully healthy, as he's been at times this past couple years. Donovan Smith is outright not good. He makes $13.75. Trent Williams is great. He wants out of Washington now. I like Terron Armstead and Russell Okung, but Smith is just as good of those guys. Jawan James, he's a right tackle and not that good. So for the Cowboys to get Tyron Smith at his current value is an absolute steal. Now, different type of question here. You guys asked me a lot of stuff, but here's one for you. Maybe you saw this on Twitter, by the way. This was the recent Twitter viral thing going on, was each state's most hated food. Let me know what yours are. Now, for Texas here, and I'll give them a lot of credit, it was well done steak. That is spot on. If you cook your steak well done, you're just wrong. There's no other way about it. That is the incorrect way to go. So let us know what food you hate the most here. We'll give some shout-outs here. Cowboy Crunk going opposite Dwight Schrute says beets. Marcelo B says, I hate sushi. I'm not a big sushi fan either, actually, there. Some salad. I agree there. That is food my food eats. Salad is not a good food there. Keep those coming, folks. We appreciate it here live on YouTube and on Facebook. And we'll go to some more Cowboys rumors. How about some training camp injury notes? This one kind of under the radar because I feel pretty confident about it. Namely, are Jones and Lawrence going to be ready to go for Week 1? I give this one 3 stars. I'd be a little bit surprised if they weren't able. Frankly, it'd probably be because there was a setback somewhere along the way. Now, this again comes from Cowboys.com. Lawrence first up here. Had that offseason shoulder surgery. He doesn't need preseason game reps, though. Even if he was fully healthy, Tank was going to play what? 5 or 10 snaps, maybe 15? He doesn't need those reps. Frankly, knowing how great Tank is, maybe you're actually better off giving those reps to Dorrance Armstrong and giving those reps to Taco Charlton and Kerry Hyder and hopefully Randy Gregory and Joe Jackson. So you don't need him out there as long as he's able to go for Week 1, and most importantly, the rust isn't a big factor. Byron Jones, meanwhile, recovering from offseason hip surgery. I think that was a big reason why his last 4 or 5-ish games weren't on par with the, frankly, top 5 cornerback he was in the first 3 quarters of the season. Now, he said he wants to be back in time for training camp. I don't foresee the Cowboys letting him do that. Not because he couldn't do it, but because they're not going to rush him. The worst thing the Cowboys could do here is say, okay, Byron, you're good to go out and play. Oh, no, his hip got hurt again. That's the worst possible outcome. It makes a lot more sense to just simply say, Byron, take your time. We'll give more reps to young guys like Michael Jackson and Jordan Lewis and Donovan Alumba and Chris Westry as well. They'll be fine there in the end. So Jones and Lawrence, I do think you'll see Week 1 playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Today's show is brought to you guys by MyBookie. They've got a special deal for you guys. Head over to chatsports.com/Cowboys, and you can only use promo code, by the way, if you're a Cowboys fan. It's Go Cowboys. If you're an Eagles fan or a Giants fan, this one's not for you. It's promo code Go Cowboys. It gets you a 100% deposit bonus. So you put down $50 on MyBookie. They're going to give you $50 for free. Just bet for the Cowboys to win and the Giants to lose every single week, and you'll make a bunch of money. More rumors here. Oh, looky, more RICO drama. I'll give this one 2 stars. I know some of the sites out there were talking about it. Yes and no. Several of the Cowboys' offensive receivers and running backs and tight ends and quarterback Dak Prescott are working out before camp like they've done before. And then it was on Instagram as Dak made the post there, and then someone responded, why isn't RICO there? And RICO responded, LMAO, no invite. Which, if you're RICO, probably isn't a great thing, because that means that the players like Dak didn't think you were worthy of being there. But in the grand scheme of things, this ranks pretty low on the RICO drama scale, right? It'll all be forgotten about in a week once they show up for training camp, so I'm not overly concerned about it. Again, here was the photo from Dak's Instagram. Among the players there, from left to right, you've got Witten, you've got Amari Cooper. Darius Jackson's kind of the weird one, but he was the same draft class as Dak, so maybe that's why. Not honestly sure why he was there. Maybe he and Dak are just tight. Dalton Schultz, Dak Prescott's there. Allen Hurns, Randall Cobb, Blake Jarwin. Did you need 4 tight ends? Maybe not. Maybe that's why RICO didn't get the invite there. But with Witten and Jarwin and Schultz there, those are their top 3 tight ends. You also technically have Cody McElroy on the roster, at least for now. I don't know if he actually makes it. I'd be kind of surprised there. RICO is your 4th man at tight end. and the Cowboys might only carry 3 tight ends. That's the reality here of this situation. Oh, very funny, producer Alicia. Very funny. Am I just a RICO hater? Why for yes and for no? Let me know. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of yeses there. Also, what happened to my dude, RICO Gathers Highlights Daily? Whatever happened to him? He's like just quiet now. Brian says N. John says N. Thank you all very much. John, 2 Johns actually say N there. Raygun says N. Haven't seen any yeses, so I'm going to stop looking and just assume I'm not a hater. There we go. One last one here with tight ends, namely, are we going to get the same old Witten? Emphasis on old, yes, 3 stars on this one. This is what Tony Romo says. Now, again, we're not getting prime Witten. When I refer to same old, I mean like kind of what we saw at the end of last year, but at the same time, he's not going to play as much. The Cowboys have found the 25 snaps per game number, but the Cowboys have proven time and time again that snaps are just a number to them, and they don't really know what they mean relative to games. They showed that very heavily with Tavon Austin there. The Cowboys tight ends as a unit weren't great last year. And despite being, let's call them what it is, older and slower than most tight ends, Witten still found a way to somehow get open. I think you'll see something similar again this upcoming season. It's not going to be the same volume. Witten is not going to be prime all-pro. I'm going to catch 1,000. I'm going to have 1,000 yards and all these catches. He'll split time with guys like Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz, and he might not even be a full-time player early on in the year. He might kind of get a slow start, or maybe he splits time in the first and second and third quarters. But I'll tell you what, when it's the fourth quarter, you think Jason Witten wants to be on the bench? You think Jason Garrett wants Witten on the bench? I don't think so. So Witten's numbers, they're not going to be 63 for 560 and 5 touchdowns. Heck, he can cut those in half, and frankly, that's probably a decent enough impact from your aging tight end who's 37 years old, but I think he'll still find a way to somehow, some way get open, because that's just what Jason Witten does. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.